Back in studio with the guys, and I want to start on the defensive side of the football here for San Francisco. No Fred, no Bosa, other big pieces missing, and still, Mac, this next man up mentality takes once again for Robert Saleh, for Kyle Shanahan, and for the 49ers. How?
I mean, first and foremost, great coaching. When you look at the entire situation with San Francisco on either side of the football field, with them missing so many contributors, major impactful players, and yet and still finding ways to win ball games have been outstanding to see. But in terms of the defensive effort, Tatum Bethune filling in for the future Hall of Famer Fred Warner, and he showed up, he balled out. I mean, when you talk about having a significant impact in terms of their defensive success, guys, it starts and it stops with Tatum Bethune. He had the green dot. He was the guy who was being transparent, communicating on all three levels. And what he did in run support was felt. What he did in the passing game also was felt. Making his first official start in this moment, filling in for Fred Warner, he did not disappoint at all.
I'll tell you what I saw in this league, we are always so quick to find the next one. Who's the next one? Who's the next guy? Who's the next up-and-comer? Bijan Robinson is the next all-around back. He's the next great one. He's the best back in the league.
Oh, you must have forgot.
Yeah, Christian McCaffrey is the best running back in the league, if you saw what I saw tonight.
Yeah.
He was the leading rusher in the game out of any player, and he was the leading receiver in the game of any player. And by the way, people know he's getting the ball every single play. You still can't stop it. Kyle Shanahan with his design to get Christian the ball every which way, for him to perform the way he does. Yeah. The amount of touches he's going through, when he is healthy, he is a bad man, and he is definitely the key. Kittle on the offense definitely helped in the run game as well. Not so much in the pass game, but it helped him a lot in the run game. I think Christian McCaffrey said, hold on, don't forget about me on this one. The Niners have been here. They played in a lot of primetime games. They're used to that. And they've also have a lot of experience of playing when their players are injured, right? They've been used to attrition over the last few years. They didn't flinch on this big platform.
Yeah, that experience shows up once again. CMC, over 200 scrimmage yards for the first time since 2019, leads the NFL in touches and in scrimmage yards. To the point of Bijan Robinson, we're looking at 14 for 40 on the ground, another 52 through the air. He is the straw that stirs the drink. Did you see enough Bijan in the right moments tonight, JJ?
No, and there was only one explosive play for the entire Atlanta Falcons. It was a Darnell Mooney catch. Other than that, there was a lid on the top of this. And Robert Saleh did a fantastic job where, of course, Kyle Shanahan missing so many pieces on offense where he did not want to get into a shootout. And so it was always going to be, we're going to make sure that we take care of their number one guy, and it's Bijan Robinson. And so there were no explosive runs. He had 14 carries, as you mentioned, for 40 yards. His longest rush was for 8 yards. And then in the pass game, 6 catches for 52 yards. He got some first down conversions, no doubt, but they didn't let Bijan Robinson beat them. They said, if we're going to lose, it's going to be Michael Penix Jr. throwing the football around the yard. Michael Penix Jr. did not throw the football around the yard.
San Francisco defense instead holds them to 10 points, 292 total yards. I want your thoughts here on Bijan, the proper usage, because we've seen him pop. We've seen this run game lead the NFL, 161 yards per game. They go for 62 on the ground tonight, Mac. There have been lulls. There's the Carolina game. There's this one. How do you explain the herky-jerky, for lack of a better term, nature of what this team produces week to week?
This is the first telling sign, viewers, when you watch the NFL week in and week out, when you're trying to determine who is in a certain category in terms of a high-tier category, playoff-worthy category, championship-like category. Those are the teams that show up and you see a consistent trend of production. That's the issue for Atlanta. It's hard to understand what happened in Carolina. And then that debacle in Carolina, and then you come back last week against Buffalo. And then when you do what you did against Buffalo, us as fans, we're anticipating seeing at least flashes of that the next week against another playoff caliber team, and we see the total opposite. So this is a telling sign for me that Atlanta, they're not there yet. They're not there yet. The NFC South, is Tampa Bay's division to lose right now. Because when you look at Tampa and what they do and how they play, the consistent stride of production follows them in Tampa or on the road. And that is the most confusing, annoying thing about Atlanta, because you can't tell me how you looked last week.
Yeah, right.
Dominant for 4 quarters on both sides of the football field, and you come in tonight's game, national stage, once again, team that was missing so many contributors, and you just look like you can't find your way on either side of the football field. That's the issue. So that tells all of us they're not there yet, and they have to find a way to be consistent, because one thing about playoff caliber teams, they thrive. Atlanta was trying to survive tonight. That's the issue. Either you're thriving or you're surviving. Championship caliber teams, they thrive in big time moments.
And I think some of that, Matt, comes from mentality. That's where I want to take you, Logan, because you understand that building a little bit.
Yeah.
Robert Saleh, not there during your time there, but it seems like there's a lot of belief, not just in one another, but in the leadership in that room. What is belief worth? How do you quantify belief in a situation like the San Francisco 49ers are going through this season?
Look, there's going to be attrition in football. Like we've been told next man up since Little League. I mean, we've seen injuries our entire football careers. You're used to that. A lot of us got our starts because someone else went down, and then you get in there, and then you do it as long as you can till you go down. That is just how this league is built on. But I want to talk about the importance of coaching in football compared to other sports, because football is a sport where I say every single play starts from a dead ball. We draw up a defense, you draw up an offense. Every play is an out-of-bounds play. So you got to get on your whiteboard, okay? And Robert Saleh had a game plan tonight that was better than what Atlanta had drawn up. He was going to take Bijan Robinson away. That's what we talked about all pregame. Who is going to stop Bijan? No Fred Warner, he's going to go off. You talked about bringing pressure. They found ways to bring pressure. They found ways to keep Bijan in protection. He pressured more than he has this year to make sure they take away the number one option, which is Bijan Robinson. Who else steps up? Did Kyle Pitts step up enough? Did Drake London? They have pieces that they pay that they drafted high to step up, but the quarterback, the wide receiver, the tight end did not play well enough for Atlanta.
And you talk about Michael Penix Jr. and the Atlanta Falcons sort of being up and down, and that's what they have been for a while. For the second straight game in primetime, the Atlanta Falcons failed to score at the end of the first half.
Yeah.
Now, last week against the Buffalo Bills, Drake London, he wants to go out of bounds, but then he sees the end zone. He made the right play. It just kind of happened, right, that they wound up getting 0 points when they could have gotten 3. But tonight,
Inexcusable.
Michael Penix Jr., while in the pocket, under duress, you know, he has a huge arm. That's what we all talked about. That's the reason he got drafted number 8 overall by the Atlanta Falcons, was because how he was whipping that ball through the Seattle rain when they went to work him out. Throw it out of the back of the end zone. But instead, he threw it out of bounds. It was ruled intentional grounding. Of course, the ball hits with 10 point whatever seconds on the ground, 10-second runoff, you get 0 points.
0 points.
In a game like this, we already knew that this was a game where you're going to need every single point.
It changes the end game there, right?
Right.
You're down a touchdown, and the end is not down 10. We talked about you got to kick a field goal, the onside kick. It's a one-score game down a stretch, and that's the difference. We talk about good teams find ways to win it down a stretch, bad teams
Find a way to lose. Situational football is the more critical moment in a ball game.
What did Coach Belichick say? Win the middle 10?
There you go. Win the middle 10, and that's what the +1, the coaching, Kyle Shanahan. Give this man credit. I know you get mad at him every year in the playoffs, in the Super Bowls and stuff, but give this man credit. He knows how to coach.
Wins and losses not determined through 30, but that play went a long way in sorting this one, as did CMC. Most consecutive games with 100-plus scrimmage yards to start a season, 7 and counting. All right, the conversation continues here on CBS Sports HQ. JJ, I want to give you an opportunity to wax poetic about Christian McCaffrey as well, because you knew the talent at a young age, and now we see him over time, the longevity applied to what we're still seeing here, him being the driving force in this victory tonight. I'm not going to ask you if you're surprised at his level of production at this point in his career, but this is the most touches, this is the highest usage rate we've seen throughout his career. Does that surprise you?
No, it does, just because of the mileage that we put on running backs. I am in the camp of, by and large, running backs, they are fungible. I do believe that. I do believe it is better to just keep drafting running backs in rounds 3 through 5 than ultimately paying one. But there are a few difference makers in the NFL. There's the Saquon Barkleys, there's the Alvin Kamara, there's Jonathan Taylor, and of course there's Christian McCaffrey. And this is a guy who, no matter how many touches you put on him and on his body over the years, he is still able. Tonight, he was, without a doubt, the best player on the football field. On either side of the ball. He was without, as he's getting closer to 30, as he is being tackled to the ground more than anybody else out there. So credit to him, and he also has bilateral Achilles tendonitis.
Yeah.
That's not something, while he's not showing up on the injury report, that's not something that's ever going away. It's just lying dormant until it's going to flare up again. He continues to handle himself and his body like a professional. And when the San Francisco 49ers really have no other way of scoring, Ricky Pearsall's out, Brandon Ayuk's not coming back anytime soon, Juwan Jennings still trying to figure things out. Mac Jones is the quarterback, and everyone had cast off Mac Jones last year, and so much so that he signed a 2-year contract. Really regretting that now because he could have cashed in the offseason. Christian McCaffrey comes through for the Niners.
It was interesting and indicative in that play before the final touchdown there by San Francisco. Different personnel groups in there. Brian Robinson Jr. on the field. Coach Shanahan sees something. Give me my timeout. It's 23 out there, then it's 23 in the end zone. Logan, I want to go to something that you said earlier about George Kittle's impact in this game and in the run game. This is the first game in George Kittle's career that he did not record a reception. First game back from the IR, but where did you see him get his fingerprints on this game?
It's all in the run game, and he takes pride in it, and it reminds me of Gronk. When I played with Gronk got so much excitement off of blocking people. And it's different because Gronk was the number 1 option in New England in the pass game. And Kittle's the number 1 option in the pass game in San Francisco. And a lot of number 1 wide receivers don't like to block. Number 1 tight ends, you split them out. They're just glorified wide receivers, right? So the fact that this guy is so excited to say, hey, I'm not a top receiver tonight, but when I'm on the field, our running game goes up so much more because I'm going to get mixed up with Trent Williams. We can run behind us on the left side. I'll flash back and kick out a defensive end. So Kittle brings so much joy into the run game that it's almost exciting when they call a run play. When you're number 1 wide receiver, your number 1 target in the pass game, it's like I'll get my nose dirty and I'll get in there and dig some people out.
It's a 2-loss team that's been staying afloat and then some without their starting quarterback in Brock Purdy. Mac Jones gets the job done again. Mac, when we zoom out and look at this division from 30,000 feet, there's some high-performing teams there as you try and identify contenders. What does it look like when you look west?
Arguably the toughest division in football. When you look at San Francisco, playoff caliber team, great coaching. When you look at the Rams, playoff caliber team, great coaching. When you look at Seattle, what they've done with Mike McDonald, playoff caliber team, great coaching. This is going to come down to the end of the season. That final week might be a major determining factor about what happens with the NFC West. And I can see all 3 of those teams that I just highlight getting into the playoffs, similar to what we saw last year with the NFC North, with them having 3 representatives in the playoffs. So every game matters in a division like the NFC West. That's why it was important for San Francisco to get back in the winning column because of what happened last week against Tampa. Because you can look at October's schedule and say, you know what, we still have a lot of football left to be played. Mathematically speaking, you're right. But when you're playing in that type of division, every game matters. It matters. It doesn't matter what month, what week it is. And they were able to get a much-needed win tonight based on what we saw the Rams do earlier today. And, of course, you know you have Seattle coming up tomorrow night as well.
And you don't matter if you're in pole position or not in that division, as Max said. Going to come down to the wire with a lot of good football teams, a lot of good football players. Depth once again on display for the San Francisco 49ers as we take a look at their upcoming schedule. About at the halfway point to Mac's point, Texans and Giants before you turn a corner to some divisional football with the Rams and the Cardinals.